Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm your host, Jill Malandrino, global markets reporter at Nasdaq. Joining me at the market site in Times Square, we have Evan Reich. He's the head of data strategy and sourcing over at Quandl, and we're going to learn about the future of data-driven investing as well as the Quandl Data Conference on January 23rd right here in New York City. Evan, it's great to have you back with us at Market Site, and that's going to be one of the key themes at the conference this year. Data-driven investing research. That's what it's all about in our industry.
We're going to be talking a lot about it. It's been an exciting topic for a while, and it's pretty exciting to have some of the key thought leaders in the industry coming from the buy side. We've got Kirk McCune from Point72 joining us, and an exciting unnamed guest who you have to show up and see in person to see what we're going to be talking about. But going to be talking about a lot of the exciting things that people are working on and new ways to be working with data and kind of the future and how people see the next 5 to 10 years shaping up from people that have been doing it for the last 5 to 10 years. So it should be pretty exciting to see how that
was my next question to you. Where are we right now when it comes to data investing and research? Are we just in the first couple of innings? Is there a lot more that we can do with it? It feels like we understand how to accumulate all this data, but then what do you do with it?
I think the biggest thing is that what we found is that there's been pieces that have evolved pretty well, and there's been a lot of press and people talking about how there's a number of organizations that have done a lot of work, but I think we have hit a bit of a stagnant period of people not really going to that next level of saying, what else can we do? How can we incorporate this in new ways? And in some ways, you know, it's sort of been limited to certain asset classes, things like that, and we're really trying to have a discussion around how can you make this bigger to different assets, to different ways of investing, different styles. And with the economy doing what it's doing and maybe doing in the next few years, we're going to want to see that as well, because there's going to be a lot of new places to apply these sort of technologies and data. And so it's going to be pretty interesting to see how these various folks think about ways to do that and ways they've done it in the past.
So when you talk about the way it's being used in a number of asset classes, I would imagine equities is going to be the obvious one.
Yeah.
What other areas can it be applied?
It can really be used in anything. I think, you know, one of the interesting parts about it is people think about a lot of this, you know, new cutting edge data, and they say, oh, it's just an equity thing. And the reality is look, if you have some set of KPIs, key performance indicators that you're measuring your investing to, as long as you can track those things, you can put data against that and say, how does this work? How does this play out? There's nothing inherently that makes it, oh, this is an equity thing, or oh, this is a credit thing, or this is a futures or an options thing. It could apply to any of them. It's really just what are you measuring in the real world, and how does that stack up against your investment thesis? And that applies to really anything. It's not unique to equities by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you and I are walking around, we're data generators, so it's really whatever goal you have at the end, you can create any data set.
Absolutely.
To help you achieve that goal.
It could apply equally as well to my mother and my children if they wanted to, you know, put in that kind of work. So
you know, that's the way people understanding is breaking it down like that. I would imagine you'll also be discussing newer technologies, AI, machine learning, and how all of that applies to your world.
There's bits of that. I think it's really about how can you apply those things in a useful way to take some of the information we have and work with it, and what are some of the cool things that, you know, sometimes you combine two things that people haven't really thought of before, and you make a whole new thing that people hadn't given thought to. I think a lot of the challenge around data-driven investing has been people have said, you know, it's just around how do we find alpha, how do we find the next opportunity, but there's all kinds of things around risk and portfolio allocation and things like that that are also part of the investing process that really haven't been brought to bear all these interesting new things. And so there's a lot of ways to apply it that people just started to scratch the surface on, and that's really interesting, and there's a lot of opportunity there.
Yeah, so it makes the next 5 to 10 years pretty cool. Thanks so much for joining us at Market Site.
Thanks very much.
And thank you for joining me on Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, global markets reporter at Nasdaq.